Hey nurses, today we're going to talk about our feelings. So I'm just going to do a quick, brief overview of our feelings and why it's important to actually feel them and not put them to the side and not ever deal with them. So I do go into more detail in episode 7 of my podcast, Catholic Nurse Coach, if you want more details and really diving deeper into why we do the model in episode 7, and episode 8 is why feelings are important. So today, this situation happened with my husband. So I'm going to use it as the example. So the circumstance, so of course, in the moment, my mind came up with a whole bunch of different stories, right? So what happened was I went into the vehicle. The keys were left in the ignition, which has been an issue before in the past where my husband will leave the keys in the ignition and either the lights will be on or something and I go out and the battery's dead. So click, click, click. This time the keys were in the ignition and I couldn't move the seat forward. He'd been the last one to drive it and I couldn't move the seat forward and I can't reach the pedals because I'm a lot shorter than him. So I instantly had this great story in my head about how he left the keys in the vehicle, the battery's going to die. That's why the chair's not moving forward. This is his fault, right? When he really had no idea what was happening. So, out of that, take a deep breath, step back. The circumstance is the chair in the vehicle won't move forward. And I can even put, so I can't drive it, right? Because I can't reach the pedals. My initial thought was, nothing ever works when I need it to. This has been multiple issues that we've had with vehicles over the past 2 weeks. So nothing ever works when I need it to. And then when I stop and I say, why is that a problem? Later on, my next kind of quick reaction thought that came up for me was, my husband doesn't take care of us. Or another quick thought kind of underneath that is, it's his fault. Okay. But my husband doesn't take care of us. When I had the thought, nothing ever works when I need it to, I was angry. But when when I have the thought, my husband doesn't take care of us, I feel very vulnerable. Okay. So this is really the one that stuck with me. And this was the feeling. I felt very vulnerable. Okay. So instead of just taking a moment and feeling the feeling, I did all these actions, which was basically a lot of yelling. I yelled at the chair. I yelled at my husband for leaving the keys in the vehicle. I yelled at the garage door because when I backed up, the garage door wouldn't shut. I yelled at the dog for jumping on me. I then took all my things and my daughter moved them into the other vehicle. And I didn't tell my husband goodbye. I then later on the drive called to apologize, but then ended up yelling at him some more on why it was his fault. And then when I got to town, I was still ruminating on it and just, like in my mind, just going over why it's his fault. He doesn't take care of us. He should have done this, right? So again, those are extra thoughts, but ruminating on it in my mind is the action. And my result is I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't calm. I didn't manage my mind. I didn't stop and I didn't feel the feeling. So it's very important to feel our feelings. In the moment, I was pretty rushed, which is funny because it was a self-imposed rush, right? It wasn't like I needed to be back for a certain thing. I had until 4 o'clock this evening for the other kids to get off the bus until I had to be back. So I had plenty of time. But again, that was part of the story that I built up was I'm in a hurry, I'm in a rush, and my husband doesn't take care of us. So again, that wasn't actually factual. So in the moment, I didn't want to, and I really, my prefrontal cortex was really making split-second decisions for me because I felt really puffed out, okay, like a puffer fish. You can't make good decisions when you're puffed out like a puffer fish. So after I've had time to calm down, I can go back and I can say, okay, what was I feeling? And from there, I can say, okay, it really was because I felt vulnerable. Where is that feeling at in my body? For me, it's almost like in the pit of my stomach. like a tight squeeze. Okay, so it's not really hard or soft, but it's just like a squeezing of my stomach, like in my gut. I feel tense. It almost makes me want to just like hunch over. It's a very tight feeling. So once I sit with that feeling and I really feel it, it's in my gut. It feels tight and clenched up because I feel so vulnerable. I almost feel like a little sweaty in my face or like flushed. Um, and then we know how I reacted from that, right? But if you really stop and you just feel the feeling, if I would have stopped and just took a deep breath and been like, oh, how do I feel right now? I feel vulnerable. Okay, I'm going to feel that. It's going to take me 30 seconds, maybe 90 seconds. Feel that. I would have been able to calmly talk to my husband on why I was upset. And really, all of our feelings come from a thought. So it came from the thought, my husband doesn't take care of us. And then from a calm place, I could explain it calmly, say why I'm upset. And again, not place any expectation on him, but just say, this is where my mind went to. This is why I was upset. This is why I had that feeling. So this is why it's very important to feel our feelings. And I hope this was helpful. I know a lot of times in that moment, like I said, when you're a puffer fish, you can't pause and feel where that feeling is coming from. You just feel panicked and in a corner, right? Like a bull backed up into a corner. So, but once you start recognizing your feelings, you're able to slow down sooner. You're able to understand what it is faster. If it's one that comes up for you often, you're able to identify it sooner and be like, oh yes, there's that vulnerable feeling again. That's why I reacted that way. Okay, that makes sense. My brain's trying to protect me. So hope this was helpful. Again, if you want more details, go to episode number 7, talks about the model and how to really break this down a lot further so you can do some self-coaching for yourself. And episode 8 talks about feelings. So I'm praying for you, and let's go change our world.